A voice. It is Tuesday. This is Trekland HQ, and we are live somehow because, yes, Star Trek Vegas, STLV in my rearview mirror, aka STLV from the trenches, my trenches. Hey, episode 318 today of Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemechek, coming at you right here for some sanity, clarity, and the big picture in all things Star Trek, right from the heart of Trekland and Trekland Treks. Wow. Since what? It's been 2 weeks since we've had a Tuesday together. Uh, right from Comic Con with nary a break, feels like anyway, right into Star Trek Las Vegas. How is everybody doing? I realize I should, maybe put up the chat here where I can see it. Boom. There you go, everybody. I know everybody was not at Vegas, obviously. We said this every year. The big conventions, there are the conventions that I don't get to attend that I'd love to come to. New York Comic Con hasn't quite happened in a few years. All of that said, a lot of us can be at events. A lot of us are at home, sometimes watching live streams, much less watching the news that's coming out. So, everybody, I'm so glad to have you with us. I want to talk about STLV, but first, I just want to say if you are new to us, if we cross paths at STLV and you're watching for the first time, you see the chat popping in here. We've got the great TTLers here this time on Tuesday, and they will be from around the world. So, jump in for now, say hi, introduce yourself, tell us where you're coming, tell us what your first three languages are, how's the weather, all of that stuff, because we have a very neighborly friendly chat group over here. We also have a pretty savvy bunch, and a lot of times they'll get to things before I do, because if you are new to TTL, welcome again. And here's what happens. I will go off on a topic here, a little soapbox for a while. We will take a mini break. Then we'll look at the Parrot Analytics and other assorted ratings that we can glean something about Star Trek's popularity now. And then I will hit the chat full bore. I'll even back scroll, okay? So you can pop in with something now, or you can hold off till later, or why not do both? And jump in twice. Because this is a day-to-day that I really hope people... I want to hear from everybody. I want to hear from... after I've had my say, but I want to hear from everybody about both if you were there, and I bet a lot of folks in the chat were, and hopefully everybody made it home safe. I don't think we had any major, I have not checked, which is part of what's going on right now. I have not checked the interwebs to see if we had some kind of major outbreak. This is not con crud. This is normal talking for 6 days straight voice. But I want to see what the experience was like if you're home. And I also want to see what everybody who was watching the news pop out. When you were reading news stories about comments, people live tweeting the panels, passing along stories, see what struck you all watching from home, okay? But first off, it was an adventure. It was a little bit of history. It was a slightly different perspective this year for me. I went in with two goals. One, to really talk about everything I do in Trekland, and also to slow down. We've had so many crazy years lately. Here's the thing. If you're at STLV personally, if you make it every year or two or three, it feels like in many ways the teens were a great buildup, and they built and built and built. We had the 50th, which was a huge spike. And then after that, we had the return of Real Trek, Cinematic Weekly Trek. And you might have had your issues with some of the shows, but it was a hell of a lot better than going 12 years without any small-scale, real, episodic Star Trek. And then we had the pandemic. And then we had the recovery year in 2021, which felt off-kilter. Said I felt like I was in a human sociology experiment. And then we had the supposedly, I'm talking about STLV here, Star Trek Las Vegas. We had the supposed move to Bally's for 1 year while the Rio Hotel was being renovated, redecorated, which didn't happen. So I feel like we wasted a year. It wasn't anyone's fault. They still intended to do it. It was a corporate changeover. I love how it's, as usual, we're just here to talk about a show, but we get sucked into all these business decisions, all the business side of things. Well, that's that's part of what colors our experience as fans, right? So people were the Rio thankfully was not decrepit, although people had problems with hot water and occasionally, and some people just did not have any patience for the old Rio. Looking at you, Mark Altman, and many more, and many more. But it was not horrendous. The other thing that was interesting for me was my better half came along. A lot of you have heard Janet, if you're on Portal 47. If you saw us back in the day, we were a twofer at cons. And when Janet got out of the industry, she didn't so much care about doing conventions anymore, unless, of course, it was a new city or somewhere in Europe or something exotic and foreign. Otherwise, Janet has left the con trail to me alone all these years. And everything, of course, we had to shift from talking about the current shows to history and punditry and even deeper into the cracks, even deeper into the layers. And, that's what I did for 10, 12 years. And now we've got Trek back. And half of it's in Toronto and under lock and key. No, things have evolved, but it was great to have Janet with me, with a friend. They enjoyed a lot of Vegas, but Janet at times stuck her toe in the water, came back down, sat with me for an hour at the booth and caught some people that we advertised. She saw the Rat Pack, which again was another aspect of this weird, wacky year that I hadn't even got to yet. So on one hand, I wanted to, dig down into what I was doing, but at the same time, enjoy being back at the Rio, enjoying seeing all of our own friends, get back to feeling normal. And then at the same time, wondering, as we all were, wondering what this strike year was going to do. There were a lot of naysayers that said, oh, this will never work. This will never work, with actors not being able to talk about their shows and their characters and their plots and their episodes. And how will that work? Well, it worked pretty well. Now, Trek Vegas is a different critter than San Diego Comic-Con. Those are the two big whammies we've had right in a row. Very, very high-profile cases. Comic-Con especially, of course, because it's Comic-Con and it's multi-genre, of how to react. And they just shut down Hall H, and the rest of the con did just fine. Restaurants were booming. Hotel rooms were sold out. It was that high-level executive, foamy, frothy, big-budget studio promo, A-list actor level that missed out. Everyone else did just fine. Lots of money changed hands. That was the San Diego reaction. We talked about that last time we were together here. Trek Vegas did just fine. And we do have generations of actors and creatives now. We've got folks promoting the new shows, the current shows. We've also got folks attached to, in this weird year of last season of Discovery not being out yet. But for everyone working on the show, it's done. And they may be working on Starfleet Academy. They may be working on the Section 31 movie or something maybe yet to come, but their Discovery's done as far as a thing to work on and being part of employee's life, whether it's actor, creator, whatever, crew. So that was interesting. And then, of course, we had all the legacy folks. But again, you had something like the Rat Pack, which obviously couldn't parody DS9 and the rest of Star Trek, although there was plenty of room to keep some of the parody in. But, the parody that Max wrote that the Rat Pack does to Left My Heart in San Francisco, Captain Sisko on Deep Space Nine, they decided to do it as a straight version of I Left My Heart in San Francisco, as an homage, as a memorial for Tony Bennett, who obviously just passed in the last couple of weeks. So, that was just one little adaptation. But aside from a couple of moments, most people followed the rules, but still had an I think, as usual, fandom, as human beings will do, gets, when there's a change from something you've experienced, we get into a rut. Oh my God, we're going to have a comedy cartoon? How is that going to work? It works just fine. So we're going to have a con where we can't talk in minutia detail about that show and this character. It worked. What Adam and Gary did felt like arrange even more little moments for people on stage. So yeah, you had the two Kirks currently, the Kirk brothers, and Shatner come out for a moment and join them. And of course, Shatner played both Kirks in his time. Dead George Samuel Kirk, spoilers, as well as James T. No, and you had Zach Quinto surprised by Ethan Peck. That was a cute moment. You had Anson, and I did see. I mean, here's the thing. What I want to talk about today, those are headlines you've been able to see. You've been able to see those. Ironically, sometimes when you're there, as happened with the Picard announcement, I didn't get I had the tip off. I just assumed it was something Adam was going to say, not a tip off about Picard, but there was a big announcement coming. So I thought, well, they're going to move the Rio, they're going to move the show. No, it was the Picard announcement. What was funny was I wasn't in the room for the tumult, the factoid that melted the internet that day. I was in the dealer room at my table when the wave hit, like the tsunami. I will never forget that. I'll never forget that. So in a way, I mean, I was very much there. I just had a slightly different perspective on it that I will always treasure. And that's what happened this weekend. I was at my booth a lot. We were paneling. We had the Roddenberry stage back on the same level, doing some amazing things there. Or I say amazing things, some fun things there. A little blow-off game that I normally do just as a blow-off game to kill time for creation. We wound up having 200-300 people in the audience, and people loved it. We had prize winners, our little instant meme game. I had so many people come up and said they had such a good time. They were glad they got brave and got up to take part in the group. That so many people in the audience just said they had a ball and a blast. And it was everyone who we were up against the TNG reunion, which was a ticketed event. So not everyone was in that room. We had plenty of people having a good time. Good on everybody. Good on me, but good on them. It was just that kind of a year. It was everything a little bit like Comic-Con felt a little subdued, but not because of COVID or pandemic or anything. I think people were a little thrown by the strike at first, but then we just plowed through it. Of course, by now, one of those news stories that you can read that I was not there for was good old Robert Beltran going off on the whole thing about language and strike requests and for just. Sometimes I wonder that there's way more DNA between Robert and Chakotay's family DNA as a contrary. I've kidded him about this at times, but he had his piece, got to say his piece, and some people were shocked, and some others weren't. But that's the thing. So much of the con you're going to be able to read in Trek Movie, on all the news sites, people live tweeting. Hope you kept up with that. A year ago, my big goals were getting Andy Richardson Kindred out finally on stage. We recorded a Trek Files Live finally. Although it wasn't because of the strike this year, we didn't do it on stage again. So my personal thing of getting two more, the Trek Files, my podcast from Roddenberry, we recorded them live, not quite as noisy live, but still live. And with the great Aaron Waltke, and I will just spoil them right now. I haven't had Aaron on Portal 47 yet, but I've gotten to know him. I've done a formal interview with him, and we did a couple of fun Trek Files. And of course, if it's the Trek Files, we're looking at some history and pulling it forward. So you'll see those in a couple of weeks. But I got my own individual goals there. What didn't happen, and I heard so many people talk about this, regardless of what you were doing, what your thrust was, it's gone back to 4 days. Thursday, and I'm battle hardened. I know this. You have to get things done on Thursday and Friday. You can't blow it off a day because suddenly it's 4:00 Sunday and the convention's over. And for me, a lot of that was getting around and visiting people. Getting around to visit a lot of my actor friends, a lot of the dealers and the franchises and the licensees that have booths. I do like to do interviews. I do like to do live streams. And I knew on Thursday and Friday that you had to hit the ground running and not put all that off till Sunday. And of course, guess what? I didn't put it off. It just got shoved back till Sunday, or just didn't get done. And I'm valiantly trying to get some things. So if you saw the live streams we did from some of the night events, our landing party was great. Awesome. People had a good time. One thing about this year, there was a lot of do-gooding. And I mean that in the best way. There was a panel. This is a word that's come into use. Trektivism. You've seen it a few times. It's kind of grown out of some of the nonprofits. I mean, I'm so proud of our Trek community, and this is nothing new to Star Trek. It's, a lot of the entertainment groups and the genre groups do this, but it's in Star Trek's DNA. And I see more and more people who are new or they're adjacent to Trek and step in for certain events and causes. And the word gets out. It's not just the dealers at a Comic-Con who will say Trek fandom is the nicest fandom. And again, it's not a contest, but it's just baked in the cake of Star Trek. We all know that. We take it for granted. I think sometimes the people who are hurting and really need Star Trek don't. And I am guilty. If there's any kind of privilege in Star Trek, it's the privilege of sometimes not having some difficulties in life or traumas, and you're reaching out to start, and you find something in Star Trek that fulfills that. I had a great conversation that Star Trek has so many ingredients that there is something for the same production over time has something for everyone. If you're having something lacking in your life, if there's a need in your life, that Star Trek fulfills that in many ways. And there were just so many projects and, yes, nonprofits that, I mean, we had a STEM party. My friend Amy Imhoff was speaking on behalf of Space Prize and doing good works, raising money for women, people of color, urban kids, disadvantaged youth, to get them into STEM careers, science, technology, engineering, math, and I will say STEAM to add in the arts. We raised, I haven't got the final figure on it yet, but raised, well, thousands of dollars because we had a sidebar raffle. But we had a full room with some more celebrities in. It was, and that was the second or third thing I had gone to that night. Hollywood Food Coalition, John Billingsley's pet project, with others, many others, and the Trek Geeks and Roddenberry both co-sponsored Mission Log. That meetup and that party was and fandom groups who are on the side having having nonprofit or having charity bits. The thing that started 12 years ago with the coming of social media, the upside of social media was that the sheep could organize. And I say this all the time. The first year I saw somebody organizing a bowling tournament at the Gold Coast, which is the adjacent hotel, Overflow Hotel, that a lot of people prefer to stay in. There's a bowling alley there. And I swear to God, 07 or 08, the first year of Facebook, I saw that and thought, oh, paradigm shift. It's not just sheep being herded from door to door, room to room. These fans are going to start organizing their own activities and events. And oh my God, that was 1,000-fold back. So much fan activism and just fan fun. So many organizations and groups and just clubs and people having their meetups and organizing their own photo ops. Talk about fan empowerment. That's what happened during the fallow years. And now we've got shows to follow, new shows to follow, as well as the legacy shows. But that is just multiplying. And I'm about to decide that there was so much of that going on, especially in the evening, on top of what Creation was offering for the high-end ticket owners, the gold and the captains and the copper and what have you. That's where, I swear to God, I heard many more people besides me kind of blink on Sunday and said, what happened to Friday and Saturday? So for the fans who were occupying that seat in the main room, for all of my buddies and colleagues who are madly covering everything moment to moment, like I'm just saying, Trek movie team, I'm sure there are others. What am I leaving out? Trek News and Trek Core probably. Everybody who was faithfully and independent folks live tweeting, covering stories, shooting the pictures, getting the moments. My hat's off to them. That was not me this year. And I at least try to get in for one a day. I at least try to go watch Jerry Taylor on stage live. I at least tried to, but then I got close to the Prodigy crew. They had a smashing main stage table. Talked to them beforehand. Well, I got a little poster signed for you know who. That'll be our secret, right? That we'll reveal on a show coming up. But no, just so many of the awesome. And yes, met a lot of new people, but a lot of fans, a lot of our old gang, a lot of the legacy casts, and again, some of the licensees. It got to Sunday, and I'm seeing the photos go by, everybody's pictures, fans and celebrities and guests alike. and thinking, oh, I miss them, I miss them, I miss them, I miss them. Well, hopefully there's always next year. But again, this was a year I tried to focus on me, but also some of the other events and things that I was a part of, was involved with, and just enjoying taking a breath and just making the moments count when we did have the moments. But still, there are no secrets at STLV. It's either on the internet or it's in a quick YouTube. Um, I the other thing that I noticed, what really struck me was, why did it zoom by so fast? I felt like it was because and not just about me, and many others, there were just those opportunities. There were just so many groups and outright nonprofits and charities, and groups being organized, and on the side having groups and charities. That was almost nonstop from Wednesday onward. So good. It was just, good to be back in the fan activism, to the point where on Sunday and Monday, fans and some of our leaders and some of the groups are calling the Rio to say, you don't have the iBar or the Masquerade Bar open on Wednesday, and you should. Don't wait till Thursday night. People are there Wednesday night. And there was actually coordination. It was kind of amazing. There were several of the venues inside that went that way, but no, we got, the other thing was, and this is purely on a commercial level, I don't know if this is a barometer on mood and attitude, but there was a lot of money changing hands. I think a lot of the dealers, a lot of the licensees that were there, I think people were still in a spring back from pandemic mode. And I think it was a joke. A lot of people were just happy to be back at the Rio in familiar surroundings. I said many times last year, and we remembered it this year, no matter what was going on at Bally's, you were never so sad that you swore you would never say anything bad about the Rio again. I mean, within reason. But people really appreciated the Rio being flat, being spread out, easy parking, just out of the Strip madness. And I know a lot of people enjoyed being on the Strip. I, for one, did not need a choice of 70 restaurants. If I'm doing that, I'll just be in Vegas messing with the maddening Strip. If I'm at STLV, I just want to get my stuff done and enjoy my peeps, and maybe break out. I don't have to choose between 80 places, because, brother, you still got the same basic few. Although I will say, any rumors of the impending demise of the Rio, there were several new food shops new Italian place at Little Bistro. In fact, I'm excited about that for next year. There were places reopened and refreshened, and that's a good thing. That was a sign of life. There were some retail places in too. But most of all, the impression, without being, immersed in the panel rooms constantly, well, two things. One was, I think the strikes, planned or not, and people wondering what would happen with actor panels. I would like, as you all know, well, look at those behind the scenesers back there. I'm always about the behind the scenesers, the backstage folks, not just not getting their due as fairness, but just giving more depth and texture for all fans. And this year, I don't know, we literally, it wasn't up to me. They did the work, but I'd like to feel like somewhere along the way, lighting this fuse and getting Dave Blass even more. And Liz Koslowski, who's one of the art directors who oversaw the D Bridge. And oh my God, finally, after all these years, I've been seeing Todd Marks, who's video playback operator, worked with Ben Betts. And hey, I'm going in the backstage weeds, so you're just going to put up with it for a minute. This is what the Portal folks pay for. But get to have a conversation with Todd Marks and say why he worked on Voyager and on the last two TNG movies. I'm like, why did we never talk? He's like, I don't know, but let's do it. No, it was a wonderful celebration. That, and writers here from the Prodigy crew. And they had not one, but two panels. They had a small panel with Mission Log on the Roddenberry stage, had the main stage panel, had some news of the day that everybody had been sitting on for ages. That, yes, and you saw the trailer, it's online, about Bob Picardo playing the Doctor. If you got a hologram Janeway, why can't you have a hologram Doctor? Kind of filling in that holographic role while the plot shifts to Janeway. Oops, spoilers. You're able to see Prodigy, by the way, on Amazon and iTunes now. Not on a streaming platform yet, unless Nickelodeon finally catches up to showing. But you can see the last episodes, and each episode getting closer to the end of the original 21st season. The closer it gets to episode 20, the more momentous the plot builds, and it gets very canon heavy. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's not just the kids running around loose. It's tying into major Star Trek events and mood and vibe and the timeline of the moment. 5 years before the Romulan supernova. And it's getting tense, and it's something you want to see. And to have a clip from season 2 in this weird time we're in where they're being funded, one hand of New Paramount is funding them to shop them around. It's one hand that canceled them as a show. It's not unlike UPN wanting to cancel Enterprise even as the Paramount TV studio was anxious to keep making it. It's the same kind of thing. It may take a minute to get your head around. And it's great to see, and to have Nami and Jennifer Murrow there, as well as the Hagemans and Aaron, and of course Bonnie Gordon. That was a great panel too, and I consider that behind the scenes, writers and showrunners much, and of course, Terry there with the triumphant turn, Terry Matalas, with everything that he could have there, with all the next gen folks. Look, the lines. As the Walter was there a bit, George was there a bit, but as the elders of the mainstream of fandom now, the next gen cast, they've always been there and been popular. There's always 8 or 10 folks at their line at a time. Not this year. This year we're back to the 100 people in line at a time for Jonathan and Brent and Michael and Marina and Gates, and LeVar, and Ed Spaliers. Todd Stashwick kind of buddying up with Terry, his buddy. It was all really healthy and invigorating, and of course that was very much there. But Terry had his time to shine too. Obviously, a showrunner, and you had the showrunners. But I'm talking about watching Dave Blast, production designer, and Liz, and Todd, and James Alred, who was a set designer, being this fantastic foursome, hanging at the factory entertainment booth. The folks that have the big ships. Just in their glory, getting celebrated for the amazing thing they did. Having somebody besides actors, barely sometimes even the showrunners, but having them saluted, getting the basket. They put in a lot of hard work, a lot of long days. They got paid on a streaming level, but they're all fans, and they did it, of course, the way people have done for years on Star Trek of any iteration. They did it because they're fans, and or they care about what someone's going to think 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. They know what they do is going to be studied for decades. And rather than be intimidated by that, they just want to do the best they can because they know they have an audience that appreciates it. Not everyone who works on a show is like that. It's a paycheck to a lot of people. But along that spectrum, they're very proud of their work, and they know what they do is liked and appreciated. And the last thing they want to do is be the one that broke some part of Star Trek. For years and years and years, they'll be known as the one that messed that up. Whether that's the showrunner or the executive producer on down to, I don't know, the second camera grip or the craft service flunky. No, it was brilliant to see them being able to bask in their glory. And my heart and hand goes out to Dave and Liz and Todd and James and Aaron for coming over and spending time with our Portal 47 live dive group. That was great, but they were also making the rounds. A lot of these parties and things, they were happy to be there and supporting some of the causes that were going on too. But lastly, and this happens every year, but it feels like it was slightly feels like an uptick this year. I swear to God, I swear to Kalis, I swear to the prophets, every 30 minutes, whatever I was doing, whether I was at the booth with people coming to me, whether I was walking by and having casual conversations, whether somebody saw me and came up to say hi, whether I was at one of these mixers and meetups and parties, I swear to God, every 30 minutes, I was meeting somebody at their first Trek Vegas. And I would say at least half of those were people at their first convention of any kind, from all over the country, many from around the world. I started having people say that I had told them to make sure and come if they could in an online thread somewhere, which happens. You forget about it as the year goes by. I had met a lot of people whose first con was Bally's last year, whose first STLV was the Bally's last year. And I never want to, you know, rain on anyone's parade, especially if you've paid the money and you got to Vegas and you're at STLV. I'm not going to say, this is just Bally's. I would always try to say, have a great time. I hope you are. And generally they were. This is awesome. You're going to enjoy the weekend, but just try to come next year and see if you think this is something. Just try to come back to the Rio. And unless the Rio is caving in from mold and mildew or something, no, if it's happening, just try to get back next year and see Masquerade Bar and the I Bar and everything and Shutter's Bar and the long walk to the rotunda. Just see everything in its glory. Yeah, and when you're not being packed in like sardines or split on two levels. And I heard from a lot of those folks. Either they talked to me the year before, or they heard me say that, or they didn't know, but they got it. They were able to find their way back. I swear to God, and there's my Okie showing, swear to God, I'm going to say maybe, and this is anecdotal, I'd love to ask Adam and Gary, who I did not see for the first time all weekend. That was the other thing. There were so many people I did not even see all weekend. I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe 15% of this mob were totally new for the first time. First-time STLVers. Maybe I'm underestimating. Maybe it's as high as 20%. That feels like it might be high. 10% seems too low. I'm going to say 15. I'm literally going to say, I think 15% of the attendees there were first-timers. And maybe 2/3 of them were at their first sci-fi or Star Trek event of any kind. Lots of people from around the world. It's just glorious. People just having a good time. And once again, like it needs to be pointed out anymore, even as we see it decrease online, thank God, still occasionally rears its ugly head. Happened a little bit with Subspace Rhapsody. Sometimes I get it. People are a little upset about jumping off into a musical format. I get that. But I'm talking about that as, as some of my relatives would say, pure D old, just, hate is too good a word. They just sneer up at the idea. And they're just going to make sure that you don't like it either or try to influence you that way. That kind of trolley, you never see that at a live show. Vegas or otherwise. Now, there's nothing, that's not talking about good old fan bar fights and people arguing over their favorite this and their best that and their top 5 and their top 10. Verbal clickbait has been a thing for decades, right? But I mean, that's like fans of anything, sports fans, an honest civil political debate even. People can spar and have a good time, but especially with our entertainment. Yeah. I mean, that was nowhere to be seen. People having a good time, but just gentleness and talking to those first timers. Again, what you always hear. I came in without a friend. Oh, I was going to go to the newbies and first timers and solo travelers panel, and I had to miss it. And I said, but you still made friends within the first hour. My line is, if you stand in line, which you have to do, you're in line for 15 minutes and you've got 5 new friends that you will always remember. So that's always a thing. There's always first timers at Vegas. This felt like a real spike. I wish I had something to quantify it. I'm sure in the bowels of creation's registration data, we could probably figure that out. Maybe I should ask Adam or Gary if it felt like, or if they had a feel for that. But it sure felt like it to me. It felt like aside from people I knew, good friends, acquaintances, colleagues, of people I don't know really well, it felt like every 3rd or 4th person said that they were at their first Vegas, much less their first con, which is awesome. So yeah, you could read the news all over the interwebs. It felt like an upbeat. It felt like we were still getting relief from the downness of the COVID, the vacuum, the big yawning black hole of the COVID days, the pandemic. Even though this is the third year back, it still felt like people were kind of flexing their fan wings, and it felt like the dealers' quantities were healthy. It felt like people were in an awesome mood, and it felt like, again, the amount of meetups and the amount of do-gooding, and I say that lovingly, was just higher than ever. And in this transition time of streaming being retrenching and no one quite knowing what that means, and the strikes, and Discovery finished but not really, and Prodigy, and I wanted to make buttons that said we are all Prodigy fans now, because the Prodigy, not just the cancellation, but the erasure, woke people up, and people are caring. I think the hard media disc sales are up, I would venture to guess. All of that. The times that if the teens felt like they were fairly stable with a spike for the 50th, we have not had that the last few years. Every year has been different, including a 0 year for the heart of the pandemic early on. Will we settle down into something year to year again? I don't know. Is that a good thing? I don't know. But this year, and on top of all that, having Janet with me again, not 24/7 at all. She kept herself busy around town with her friend, but finding out that people did indeed know who she was and remembered her stories. And you'll see some of those in the Voyager documentary. I know at least one or two will survive, because she's the only one that can tell them, especially from the early days. And it was a year like no other. So that was my Vegas. That was my Vegas in my rearview mirror this year. Vegas from my trenches. So thanks to everybody who came by. Jonathan, Marina, Andy Robinson, Brent, making passing bits. So many fan authors and people with projects and things. I have to go through my business cards. I have so much stuff to go through. Thanks to the Portal 47ers who joined up, people who are asking about the treks and the big tour and all that routine stuff. But yeah, so many new faces, which of course, including one of our contestants at that instant meme game. She just called herself Tiny Janeway. I feel like I was looking at Cadet Alice in about a year or two. But a lot of good feels for the future of Star Trek, no matter what some of this crazy legal business labor stuff is happening. A lot of good feels for the future of Trek. A lot of my fans and my friends and colleagues with YouTube shows and live streams and podcasts, so much good work going on. It was really a smiling time. And for those again who or even been around genres and franchises and and dealers and licensees, even without, I saw people talking about, what do you think? You think Paramount will? We did the State of the Trek forum, and that's going to be out soon. And we had some confusion cleared up, thinking that the whole bit about not talking about actors and shows was because of not being licensed. And I was able to clear that up. Now that was a SAG union strike request, not to feed the hand that they were biting. Had nothing to do with the licensing issue at all, which was surprising. But people get confused about these things. So the license, I heard more people talking this year about maybe that's some misinformation that needs to be cleared up. That the strike is why, or the non-licensing of STLV is why they're not talking about shows and characters specifically. Not the case at all. Same thing last year. But STLV was around before they had Grand Slam in Pasadena before it moved to Vegas because of the experience, and stayed there because of the destination. It was only licensed in 2012 or 2013, I think, when they got back to doing that. And so now the destination license is gone. The only thing that the studio licenses now, well, the set tours and little shows up in Ticonderoga. Awesome, of course. Talk about a personal experience. And the cruise. Those are the only two big licensed events. So your standard traditional con stage platform, etc., is not currently under a license, or that's murky. The mission license with Reed Pop, is it still? It would be on effect on paper whether Reed Pop cares to enforce it, and maybe that comes around again. Heard all kinds of rumors and bubbles and murmurs and hiccups. But for right now, let's just get these strikes underway and get back to enjoying things. And for the foreseeable future, no matter what happens elsewhere, STLV is going to be the premier place to be for the concentrated Trek effect. And no, I'm not getting paid anything. I wish Adam and Gary would slip me some coin, but that's not going to happen. It's just the fact. It's just the fact. So if you were there, I'd love to hear from you what your thoughts were. I'm going to have, this week is our Portal 47 Ask Dr. Trek roundtable. So members, Portales, I've got to get the mail reminder out, but it will be tomorrow night. We can talk about all this. Then we can talk about it right now too. And if you were at home and you saw something that you were confused about, or you feel like you didn't get the whole story, ask around. And if I don't know, somebody else will. That was there or otherwise. All righty. So having said that, it feels like we're going to get to the edge of con season here a little bit. It's always a double whammy with San Diego and Vegas, but it is still summer for another month, another two. It's going to be warm weather in LA. And if you're out and about and traveling, actually any time of year, just want to throw it out there. Anytime is a good time to take a Trekland trek with me. We'll set up your customized away team. It's a day 6 hours. I will be your driver, your cosplay wrangler, your props master, whatever it is you want to do. We will work it out in advance. Go to 4 sites you pick with my help. Have a fast food lunch from your hotel back and forth. It's awesome. It's your own unique away days, your own away team. And I'd love to do that. 2024 is going to be the date now for the next big Geek Nation Tours West Coast away mission with LA and San Francisco. That's 10 days. That's a big honker. And with a lot of actors. And we've got a couple more we're going to add to the guest list here as we watch the time go by and firm up some more. More on that to come, but you can get all that at LarryNemechek.com, right? What you can't get there, but you can get at Patreon, is joining our Patreon bunch. And I want to thank everybody. We're doing more and more. Who knows what the future will bring coming up? But for right now, I want to thank our TTLers in our Patreon: Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, and Marie Siegel, Justin Porteous, Galinda Bruton, Chris Jiggles, Jiggins, Pranakasha Productions. Thank you, Matt, for the cello playing live around the floor. Comedy Forecast, Andrew Jasimski, and of course, our live wires. Robert McLean, it's good to see you, Rob, at Vegas. Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Hebbard Gunn Johnson, Alan Hoensi, Dave Gregory, yay, Dave was there too, Tobias Rex, Donna S. Runyon, and Casey Shafsky, who I saw live at Vegas too. And I've probably left out people that were there. Oh, well, Anne Marie, of course. Now I'm going to get into who was there and who wasn't. But I want to thank these fine folk for helping out with our Patreon. And of course, it's a simple one. It's $5 and $10 a month. You can get in. We just had the payout from this month. I keep it simple. It's just for a shout out here, a thank you, sincere thank you, a little something people can do if they want to help the bustling Trekland media empire. For $10, it's that, and access to some of the earlier behind the scenes, the first few years behind the scenes interviews from Portal 47. And it's Tuesday. That must be Trek Files has kept marching right along. This week, we are back with the great Darren Doctorman, having a lot of fun with a little inter-office war between Leonard Nimoy and the business offers over paper clips and stamps. You want to see this one? Of course, it's at the Trek Files on Facebook. That's where the docs are. You can find the audio anywhere, but you really want to see this professional 1960s era, Mad Men era, but still snarky memos flying back and forth across the Desilu lot. It's really fun. And Darren gives us a special reading as well. You want to catch that. Oh boy, do you ever. Hey everybody, as always, I'm not going to change this to an X. This is ridiculous. Twitter. I'm not Xing on X anywhere. I'm not having bacon with my ex. I wouldn't even have bacon with my ex if I was divorced. But that's where Larry Nemechek is. I'm going to see about Blue Sky. Someone send me a Blue Sky invite and I'll try that out too. I thought I applied months ago, but apparently it never got through. It's Larry Nemechek's Trekland. On YouTube, please like and subscribe and share around. Please hit the bell and all those things. And yes, Instagram and Facebook. And you know what? Portal47.net. You heard me talking. It would be great if you want to if you're throwing some money at me anyway, just go ahead and join, get all the benefits. We had the best live dive ever, the biggest one, even without the art crew and Aaron joining us. It was amazing. I think we had 25 people around the table. We have to find a bigger place. It was great to see all of our live Portal people live, as well as the folks who came to the meetup. And maybe that was some of them here in the audience today. Some of them joined. Yay. Things happen. Things work. And most of all, wow. STLV 23 is in the books. That's top of mind for me. I want to see what you say. We'll be back and talk about that. If you are with us on YouTube later, you won't see the live cast. Maybe if you join us some Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 UK, 10 Central Europe. If you join us live, you can jump in the chat. But hey, feel free if you're watching us later on YouTube, like and subscribe. But leave a comment. The comments go. All righty. So until next week, if you're leaving us now, it's been great. Do all the things, kids. Okay? Stay healthy out there. Little bumps of COVID now, the E56 or the E, whatever it is. There's a new little strain of COVID out there. But you know, it's the cold and flu season. Just take care of yourself in all the ways, okay? Do all the things. Oh, and stay woke. Check the sources. And trek well, everybody. All righty. I thought things were not going to ding on me. I thought I had sounds turned down, and yet things are dinging on me. Ding, ding, ding. All righty. Looking at the parrots. Looking at the parrots. Parrot analytics, which are evolving in the recent few months. I finally figured out what's going on. Parrot Analytics is a data mining company aimed at filling the gap that existed because the Nielsen's became meaningless for the exact same reasons that the writers and actors are on strike, and IATSE almost struck 2 years ago. I'm going to bring that up some next time we talk about the strike in detail. The IATSE, everybody from art directors and art people through the gaffers and grips and other crews on stage live. So many folks fall under the IATSE, huge makeup people, props, everybody, wardrobe. And they came within a hair's breadth of striking 2 years ago. And a lot of the same issues were going on. It's the uproar that streaming has brought to the old system of everybody being fairly paid transparently, and which also yields the benefit of knowing what's popular, what's not. Don't have that anymore. And anyway, Parrot is jumping into the breach to try to give us that. One of the ways Nielsen's is making strides to tackling the digital world because it's individual views. It's not, certain time, 8 o'clock Thursday night. What's the top show? There's 3 of them. That's the old days. Even if there's 18 of them now, counting your cable and satellite, it's a tricky thing to measure. But looking at the parrots as lately, they've gotten to where on their main site that we've tracked for 5-6 years, they've licensed out the most recent last week video numbers of popularity as measured scouring the internet, basically. What they call their average demand expression. It's fan critical studio activity. Looking at where they are on how they do this on selling off that ability of the new numbers. They sell the rights to those to a site called TV Geek. And looking at that in the US, yeah, Strange New Worlds peaked at number 5 for a brief time. It's a high, right, in the US. In the US, I'm looking at worldwide. In the US, yeah, peaked at number 5. Averagely, number 10. They were up 7.4% over the last week. They always spike on Thursdays. That's when people are watching because it's the new episode. But overall, the overall trend is really good. I was curious if there was a Lower Decks bump coming out of the animated show, and I missed the window because we were in convention madness. And I missed that week, and I can't see how to access their database just to go back 2 weeks. So I'm thinking, I looked at Lower Decks a little bit. There's not much of a bump there, but I wanted to go back and look 2 weeks ago. Overall, Strange New Worlds, even in the last 30 days trend, is sitting at 46 times the average show's popularity. Its demand over a 30-day trend was up 17% from 30 days to 30 days back, which is good. This week to week, yeah, the demand score here lately was at 53.7, so that makes no sense. But clearly, as they're dropping these hot shows and these different tonal shows, and if you want to talk more about Strange New Worlds, we can do that. My second opinion, which airs usually on Saturday and Sundays, were delayed. I recorded early, but the whole editing team was also in Vegas. So it's getting done today, everybody. So hang on. It's a couple days late. It's Subspace Rhapsody. It's the musical episode. I guarantee you I'm talking about some aspects of the show you did not hear anywhere else. Because, Trekland is not the same you get everywhere. So be watching for that, would you please? The cool thing, aside from some of these mundane ratings, I'm not going to dive too deep into them because it's a little muddled now. But Strange New World, safe to say, is doing really well. It's peaking at number 7 in the US. The other thing that we normally wouldn't have an eye on, John X alerted me to this, and it's still happening. The entire album for Subspace Rhapsody, Strange New Worlds 209, the musical, that is trending on iTunes. The entire album, at one point, Monday night, was number 2 in the US on iTunes as a complete album on the album countdown. I looked just before we went on here, and it was somewhere between 3 and 4. It was number 3 in the UK yesterday when I was shown some screenshots. Today it's down around number 7, number 8. But can you believe that? A Star Trek soundtrack with the entire cast singing their various songs was number 2 in the US as high as. And it might have slipped up to number 1 at times. But at least number 2 I've got verified, and currently is still at 3 and 4 range. Number 2 in the UK number 3 in the UK at a peak, number 8. Didn't check to see what Australia or Germany had. Kind of thinking it wasn't going to be that high there, but still. What a grandpa. Yeah, that's Klinkoff from You Can't Take It With You, by the way. What a wild, wacky year this is. What an incredible season for Strange New Worlds. And I can't wait to talk to all of them about it. And again, if you can hold on to your tootsies for this week's second opinion, I know it'll be 2-3 days late. I have some little insights from Bill Wolkoff, who, yes, is on the picket line, but hates that they cannot talk about this show openly. They can't take the credit. He and Dana Horgan take credit for the writing. The director is interviewing. That's awesome. But the writers, actors, not so much. Can't wait till they can get in and really celebrate this with fans. They were missed. They were missed at STLV, as well as the Discovery folks and and the Picard writers too. Terry was there and repping things in a sedate way, And, the way the signings went, the way the questions went, people danced around specifics and still got to answer the heart of things. But it was still a little bit of a thing to wrap your mind around. And I don't blame the writers for just waiting until they can just talk. So catch the second opinion this weekend. I have a couple of little nuggets from Bill that will add a little bit to your enjoyment this week too. I think we're done there. Let's back scroll and check the chat. I hope everybody's fine. I see more and more people coming over to YouTube, and I think it's called, just a reminder because I never remind anybody about this. It's called Super Chat, and I am now monetized, so I have annoying little commercials on YouTube. And I'm actually making nickels and dimes and pennies, but I can't collect any of it until I hit $100 or something. So if you want to throw some money in on the Super Chat above and beyond the Patreon, feel free, especially if you're not in the Patreon, which is itself is pretty simple. It's all appreciated. I have $70 held hostage by YouTube. let's just call a lek, okay? A lek, Cardassian unit of currency. All right. How is everybody? See here. HB? Harv Bennett, happy birthday. We will see. Hey, Tobias, you're here, and thank you for being a Patreon too. Let's see. Oh my gosh, Willie, you're still at the Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Guys, we're going to put this in at the beginning. To start things off, I forgot to take my wristband off. So let's get this show started right here. Free ad for creation. Boom. Okay, I'm officially gone. I'm officially done with STLV Star Trek Vegas. All righty. Oh, Christoph, don't be weird. Maybe we should have strikes more often. Well, if it leads to worker equality and parity, okay, but they're not. They're very disruptive. And we talk about that. There are so many people that are hurt right now. Some folks you probably know the names of, who are some of your heroes from Star Trek, from both sides of the camera. Answering that one, yes. No, we shouldn't. Just kidding, kind of. Hey, Glenn, you got home? I saw you there and your mom, as usual. Yay. Okay, now here you go, Glenn. You're going to have something on me. Frakes in one of his panels went ahead and mentioned the show and episodes that shall not know any side of the rules. I was wondering if he got an update from SAG-AFTRA about the rules right before that panel. I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you. I was hoping, and I was at one event where I thought maybe I could get a word with Michelle Hurd, who did so much to educate her own union's leadership about the whole world is not convention modeled like Hall H at Comic-Con. There are many, many variations and subtleties, and it's not studio driven. It's the individual actor getting through their year, especially the older ones who are not working so much anyway. Oh, well, Sean, yeah, I know you're feeling. A lot of people feel the same way, but it's not really any mechanisms here. Maybe the union will sanction him. Maybe they won't care a few things he said on a stage. Does the union look at a Star Trek convention stage? It's the same thing as somebody was having a big press conference at a big protest rally in New York or Washington or something. I don't know. Will they look at his comments like some of the other naysaying actors that seem to be the contraries in other ways? I'm going to say probably not. He's also not, and don't take me wrong here, he's not an up-and-coming young whippersnapper who's got years ahead of him. There we go. Hey, Scott. This is true, Scott. This is a good way to look at it. He was self-referential and mocking. Rub your nose in it, kind of a thing. Yeah. Robert's directed, but it's stage directing, which is not the DGA thing. This is basically what he said. Yeah. And this is true too. One of the hosts on stage also ignored the struck work rules out of habit. Oh, didn't mean to confuse you, Blanca. The book I meant in 2017 when Patrick came on stage and announced there would be a Picard show. Sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't mean to get your hopes up or confuse. This is true. This is true. There you are. And I think what got it here was even when he was asked to stop. Right. All right. Well, we didn't used to have moderators. Actors would get introduced and they'd walk out on stage and they would handle it because that's what they had always done. And then when we got panels, we started having moderators with panels and groups. Right. Right. What in your best? Oh, yeah. Hofoko go. Right, right, right. All right. Hi, Pat B. Are you new with us this week, or have you been here before under a different account, guys? Anyway, good to see you. Even if this is your first Tuesday live, that's great too. Either way, either way. Back when the FedCon was at Dusseldorf, Garrett was the awesome MC of the convention. Master of Ceremonies. Yeah, well, before that it was I've gone blank on his name. FedCon had the old kind of rock concert wrestling. My goodness, I've gone blank on his name. Before Garrett. Hello, Maria. You were at Bally's last year. We met. Absolutely. Oh, here we go. Boom. Did I not get that? There we go. Okay. Oh, Glenn. Okay. Other than TTL folks and Chat Pack, highlight for you was getting a hug from Doug Jones. Absolutely. And a Dougie hug is like being completely health and love and positive energy. Absolutely. Why, yes, Scott, I believe. I totally agree. Or like you've crashed the press room and you're watching the press rounds at the tables. Yes. No, not Ensign Kim, Garrett. I'll just say. Oh, that was cute. Scott promoted him to Lieutenant Kim. That's pretty funny. Yeah, we lost the copy of that. Hey, JR. I didn't intend for that to go on and on and on, but the end of the fan sets Trek Geeks party. Yeah, I missed their podcast. That's when I missed seeing Michelle. So this is what I mean, Maria. I would never try to tell you had a bad time at Bally's. I'm just saying the logistics and the vibe, the landscape was much better over here. And some people swear by being on the strip. That's fine. Like I said, I'm not there to go eat different places. I'm there to STLV. Oh, no, Melanie, you're good. I think we're not to this. I hope you got some. Sorry about that. Well, this is the thing. The convention space, the facility space is fine and has been. The rooms need a little bit of upgrade, and apparently that's going to happen. Apparently, Janet was talking to folks and reading, and it's going to start with the Ipanema Tower. That it really is on track. There was a lot of up in the airness about the stadium going in and what that would do and timing, but now that's been settled, and they're going to get on with it. But they're going to be open during the construction. Yeah, yeah, a lot of community, absolutely. Hey, Jim. Good to see you. I know you've been with us before here too, even. Um, I know Scott. Although, I mean, I would have loved to have seen, especially the major actors dealing with. I would have loved to see these permutations. And I think Anson and Ethan, I walked in for about 2 minutes just to look on stage, and they looked a little numb, a little bemused at talking about their favorite color and their junior high school mascot. And but no, there's a lot they could talk about the craft, they other just people they've worked with without mentioning names and shows and all that. They can talk about their Star Trek folks if they just don't mention the episodes and the that this was on it. It's obvious if he says, "Well, this one time when Ethan and Chrissy were," I mean, it's like, well, of course that's I shouldn't say Enterprise. That's Strange New. You really loved the last past weekend from watching. Were you there, Jim, or from you mean from watching everything turning up online and the socials? Oh, Garrett said, "Finally, finally, finally." Yes, Anne Marie. I had to make an early night of it Sunday night, and I didn't get down from my traditional last drink at Masquerade. Yeah, my Crispin button made it home. So we meet again, Crispin. Yes. Um. Oh, your first STLV was 55. That would be, yeah, the one at the Rio when it was about half as big as normal, and we all were heavily masked. Right, right, right. Hello, Adam. Good to have you with us too. The Rio's refreshing is more like they sprayed Febreze in some places and called it clean, but hopefully there's a lot more they still plan to do. I really think they will. They have plans. Admittedly, Scott, the social aspect of STLV can be intimidating. You can turn it on, but yeah, it's a lot. It is. And you have to get there was a family quiet room this year, which I didn't remember seeing before. It was actually right past the little actors green room, the guest green room. But it was marked on the charts. You could go in there and just have a quiet place. It's interesting. Interesting. Does Paramount CBS Viacom not know what the left hand and the right hand are doing? Oh, analysis. That's true anytime, much less after a remarriage, after a 12-year split, whatever it was. Yeah, left hands and right hands are often not in sync. Had you heard me talk about when the Star Trek.com original team was laid off to the person? Not cut and lost places, but they wiped out the entire Star Trek CBS Interactive, newly liberated and newly untethered from anyone that had been there more than 2 years, shut down the whole website, even as there were contracts in place that all the new licensees had to had their first story on StarTrek.com, and even as no one touched it for 4 years, and December 2007's page sat there for 4 years, even as anybody looking up Star Trek online to the official site would go to a 3 and 4 year old dead page. Yeah, the left hand and the right hand corporately do not always know what they're doing. Oh, absolutely, Rebecca. I got to say hi just for a minute. I was over and she saw me and grabbed me and said hi, Larry. But we'd talked at Yuri's night too. I didn't get to talk to her what I wanted to talk to her about though. You know what? You know what, Scott? You are not the only one, apparently. Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. So, JR, here's the thing. So, in the big square of the dealer's room, right? Let's just say this is the vendor's room, okay? Instant graphics. So, the TNG cast and Terry and Ed are over here along this wall, pretty much, and depended by the agent. A lot of the DS9 and Voyager people were here. Mackenzie Westmore was at her first one with her dad, and Derek Mackey's people, Doug Jones, were here, but there were people along the opposite wall signing. Michelle Hurd, Saniqua, some more, but it would alternate. These people here had two of them had line. There were always two lines going out into the hall, and then two lines that would stretch across. So there wouldn't be, say, four long lines all right here clogging up the main aisle. And there weren't just four walls of dealers. There were islands. I was at an island here, but my island, the backside of Doug Jones, with Jonathan Del Arco right next to me, and the lines, at least one or two lines, were always either going this way with 50 to 100 people in it, or it was going that way with 50 to 100. The length of the room at times, or at least the length of half the room, 2/3 of the room, big ballroom section, signing room. And one thing I didn't do a lot of atmosphere this year, gang. I did not shoot a lot of stuff I should have. I did some live streams, but I didn't take the dealer's room, the people in line. I didn't do here's how long. I did do one video of the opening day line just to get in and get checked in. I didn't post that. Maybe I'll do that. But it was definitely not the comfortable little 5, 6, 7, 8, even just last year at Bally's. And, and they're all thanking Terry for that big time and the whole third season of Picard. Oh, did I misinterpret something you said here? A lot of fandoms are still ideal driven like Star Trek. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm just saying Star Trek was the original, even though I've got friends that say that's what comics are all about. I get that, but it doesn't. I just don't think there's so much pew pew and pow pow and superpowers in comics, superhero comics, that just throws me out of the whole inherently good thing. I would never gatekeep on poor little comic superhero Marvel and DC fans. I would never gatekeep on the MCU. It's just not my thing. I just laugh eventually. I watch a Marvel movie and at some point, even the best ones, and it's like, oh, this is so comic booky. Oh, wait, it is. That's because it is. But that's me. Your mileage may vary. Oh, Maria, that's okay. You got there once. Maybe you can get back again. Let's hope. I'd love to see you again. And until then, it's great to have you here on Tuesdays with us, all the way from Brazil. What is this? 2.0. 209 was nice. Could have been better. Rhythm of the words far too photon. Didn't match the rhythm of the music. They should have hired more help. Okay, well, someone's listening to it and buying it. Hey, Steve, one of the last folks I saw when we were leaving. Hey, Fathery, I assume you'll be talking about it on your show too. Well, what did you think about the noobs? As Anne Marie said here, so many noobs. I mean, was I dreaming this, or were there really every third person I talked to was a new person? It was awesome. Here we go. See? Yep. Yes. Yes, I remember, Maria. I think I embarrassed you a little bit. It was at the beginning of a landing party, I think. in that weird new space. Well, it was all new to you, I know, but it was new to all of us. We were all having to cobble things together. But I enjoyed yelling out that it was your first con and you were from Brazil, and people love that. Hello, Rose. Glad you're with us again. Um, Glory to the Vegas. Okay, Johnny. Well, this is true, Christoph. See, you have the meeting of the generations. You have the interesting overlap going on there now. Hey, Diana. Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you at SoonerCon this year too. Yeah, but see, I don't say fandom menace because that ties it to Star Wars in a way. So I say the toxic tubers and just, the negative ninnies, and all of that. But I mean, thanks for not stirring something up. I will never take away anybody's right to have legitimate critiques. That's always been part of good old fandom debates. It's the tone and the civility part of it. And it's the unrelenting, never change, never change. But, I've had hard headed fan friends who will always hang on to their like or their dislike. And, they're very much human and real. It's when we've lived in this virtual space for so long, as we've been saying since the beginning of TTL here in 2017, basically, when Discovery blew up, good and bad, that the people that might be wacky or a little bit of an beginner, but them, they're a human being. That's one thing, but it's all those faceless accounts that are probably bought and paid for bots or trolls. You loved most of the musical. You just thought the boy band Klingons jumped the shark. They should have kept their formal guttural tones while singing and done bat-left forms instead of dancing. The Klingon biochemistry reacts differently to subspatial folds and instability drives. Why you only call us when you got your dramas? I know. What about just a nice Klingon tea party without a crisis, without a galactic crisis? See, what's sad is that you have more than one person to bring up in this category, see? Well, here we go, everybody. Idik. Going to scream Idik here. The Klingon solid gold dancers. Yes. Shh, Christoph, I was going to point this out. Has anybody else pointed this out? Doing it less funny, stupid would have been too similar to the Uhura singing episode early on. Yeah. Well, the stupid made them feel repelled. The stupider it was, the weirder they were and more driven to get rid of it when they weren't stuck singing. But the fact that it wasn't just singing, that it was tying into ripping up their personal secrets, that made everybody so unguarded. I made a point in the SO, and I'm going to save it for that. I've probably said it online anyway. Hey, just Rosie5. Good to see you too. Is this your first time with us? But thanks for coming by. Okay. They complain about Ortega's in Star Trek Strange New Worlds having a lack of military discipline in one of the early episodes this season. Yeah, but she's had her traumas, and it's almost like she's earned her wisecrack ability. She's no more of a wisecracker than say Hawkeye and MASH. She's less than that, but she's also regular army. She's regular service too. I think she's earned her stripes. Yeah. And Melissa would talk about the feedback she's getting from veterans groups and things. Yes, exactly, exactly. In a Top Gun hotshot kind of way, flyboy kind of way. Exactly, exactly. Why is CBS so bad at licensing Trek? Koser Mart must be making millions, them and lots of other companies filling in the FAOs. Well, part of it is the audience has to, toy companies that climb the ladder. Um, Toy companies aren't going to throw away their money in R&D on an audience base they don't think is there yet. Now, I could not help thinking of the first year of Discovery. Mary Wiseman's table, 50 to 80 people all the time she was there. Lots of people from Discovery's cast now after it takes a while. I remember the first con year or two, the Discovery people would be there and they'd have just nobody there. It was the same thing with the next gen folks the first year or two. Yeah, I will save going off on some tangents here. Nothing is an instant hit. It takes even a few years for even the main cast of a new Trek to catch on. They're always the new people until they're not. Until the older cast becomes the old folks, and then the new hot ones. The new folks become the new hot ones when the old folks become the old. It's sad, but that's what happens. When that's the demand leading, that's what the toy makers, the licensed goods people are going to look at because they need people to buy stuff now, whether it's action figures or it's towel sets. Oh, I think Ortegas is way more than Malcolm Reed, but yeah. Yeah, Di, you do. Did Kevin come one year for just a day or two, I think? Maybe years ago. Why do I have that? It seems odd now, but I think maybe 10, 12 years ago he came for a day or two, but he was alone, I think. Oh, Jim, you thought it was a wonderful, magical vibe as strong as the 50th in 2016. Hmm. Hey, Chris, don't worry about it. There is no late. There is no tries, only do. But it was great seeing you in person too, even for just a few minutes, right? Uh, okay. Some things on Sunday were so surreal that you are still trying to process it all. Oh, okay. I hope that's it, if not a positive, at least not a negative thing. I hope everything's okay, Chris. But don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Well, there you go. Only your third one, Scott, but each one you've been to the three very atypical things. So this was more normal-ish, but still a little wonky. The whole thing with the union talking specifics was the weird thing this time. It was just good to be back at the Rio. Oh hey, yes, yes you do. Well, a geek nation or a Greek nation? Yeah. There's the Mad Greek restaurant right at the state line. I always want to change it to the Mad Geek restaurant there when you cross LA, the California Nevada state line. Oh, very good. Thank you, Glenn. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, never mind. You've got a full time job now with your dad. No worries. No worries. No worries, Diana. Um, oh, there you go. Well, just so we're clear, Geek Nation is the big multi-day tour that's Terrace's company. My one-day tours are Trekland Treks. So just so we're sure. And the next Geek Nation tour is slated for July, in between the 4th of July and Comic-Con in that slot. I would throw a card at you, but I don't have one here handy. What are we saying, Duralta? The business fight between Nimoy and these other dudes, is that the one where he said to his secretary, lie down, and I say you passed out due to heat? I'm not up with you, Doralta. You're obviously talking about something in the past. I'm not sure what. Oh, you. Thank you, Christoph. You'd pass one along as soon as you figure out how to do it. Very nice. Thank you. Oh, what? The panels? You did go to a couple of panels, but you could probably count how many on my fingers was too distracted by everything else. Chris, was this your first one? I forget if you mentioned it. You were distracted by what? Oh, Jim, thank you. Thank you for being a number one truckophile spelled with an F. That's very kind. I hope you have a button or something. Uh-oh. What are you saying? Okay, so just Rosie, when we're on diffraction like this, like, you have to let me know what you're liking here 30 minutes later, okay? Oh, Rebecca. Okay. I hope health is holding up. I know you had some issues. Okay. We are at the Needle for Parents. All righty. Oh. Okay, I'm going to let you explain what's going on. I'm not quite sure. I know. I have said this from day one, not about the strain called Eris. I have said from day one, why would anybody name an online community gathering place Discord unless you were like of the dark side? I don't get it unless it was you were at some 4chan page or something, where you're like, feeding off the hate of something. Oh, okay. Uh, thanks, Kyle, for the in between here. Hey, Christoph, I will let you. I will hold that. I will hold you in suspense. Okay. I had people complain that there wasn't an animated me for the Lower Decks crossover, but there you go. Yes, Lower Decks was trending. Okay, Strange New Worlds was trending on Twitter. There we go. Thank you, Kyle. Is that what I said? Did I say super chat? Okay, there we go. We're back to the musical. It had its own thing. It wasn't attempting to be Broadway and dumb down Broadway. Exactly. It was part of the plot, and it advanced the plot. Thank you, Christoph, for explaining. Except Kyle knows. He knows, Doctor. He has figured it out. He has reasoned it out. You can still feel it. Exactly. Let's see. See, there you go. I know. I actually took mine off pretty early. Monday after, there's always a big cabana party. I didn't go out and see the cabana nights. We just kind of limped home, as we are wont to do some years. Let's see. You always save yours, Melanie. Yep. Chris, you are not alone. You are not alone. There we go. What are you saying here? For non-premium YouTube viewers, the commercials have always been there, so it really doesn't look different. I know. Now I'm in the annoying commercial realm. Oh, thank you, Sean. Boom. €2. Middle name quiz. Cisco O'Brien Paris Riker. You mean you want me to tell you, or you want to guess, or what? Or you're putting that out for the other chat? Because it would be. I think I just mouthed them. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. JR, You remember your first STLV 55? You were the first celebrity author at the trivia night. Oh, you mean the landing party? Awesome. Awesome. Let's see. But thank you. Thank you, kind sir. You're already Patreoning. Yes. What Scott said. we're gonna free the whatever it is. We're gonna free the captive 77 yet. What do you hate to say what, Chris? It wasn't an isolated incident in STLV, and he definitely wasn't the only Lexac to walk the line harder than Jamie with the prime directive. Oh, you're talking about Beltran? Yeah. Yeah. You got this. Thanks with the super chatting. Yes. Oh, I see. Talking about the Germanic. Yes. Hashtag Doug Hug. Hey, May. Whoops, where'd you go? Boom. Did everybody see May? I walk in to go see the newbies and first timers and solo travelers group, which only lasted about an hour and then just became an amalgamated pre-landing party meetup group. But May had her Cadet Alice shirt on, and I posted that. That was about the only thing I posted for days. I have not put any pictures up. I did not take that many pictures this year. Yes, Sean, I did see. I really, really enjoyed it. They recreate, and I'm not a dyed-in-the-wool Who person, so I know that classic Who fans must have loved that recreated set. There's different people who keep every few many years trying to redo or trying to make a Roddenberry biography, and that would be part of it, I think. Rebuilding some or going to Ticonderoga or somewhere to film some of that. But yes, I do. And yes, I would like the equivalent. Yeah. Yes, congrats, Father. Now, did you all, and my phone died and I had no way to charge it while we were in the middle of doing prizes. Did you take a picture of your bunch? Did somebody from your team put in for, or was that you, put in for the free 2 months of Portal 47? I have not seen, maybe Cairo is still traveling. Cairo was at Vegas. That was a cool thing. Yes, where he looks into the scanner console and sees that Doctor Who is still going. And I'm not even I appreciate Doctor Who. It's fun. I cannot make any claim to being a Who fan for the years invested, the emotional ties that I am for Star Trek or Star Wars. I can have a level because I've lived through it, and I know lots of folks who are huge. The Gallifrey folks here in LA, from Sean on down. My good friend James Kerwin. So many hardcore Trek Doctor Who fans. I can't equate that, but I've read about it. That was when I really started to understand Who fandom finally, and understand the show. Was reading the making of books at the 25th anniversary or so, 30th anniversary. Okay. Yeah, Christoph, I heard the biggest thing I heard people talk about the Rio and the rooms was a lot of people lost hot water. We never did. So there's that. Okay. Duralta, it's a long story. Just suffice to say, there was a meetup party. I think it was the Mission Log Patreon Discord where I had a badge that said Crispin. I'll just leave it at that. And it was a little bit of it was the part 3 of a 3-part joke involving other people. All righty. Oh, hey, May. Your favorite moment besides the selfie with me was winning the raffle best prize at Amy Emhoff STEM Fuzz of oh, that's right. You won the big jacket, whatever, $100 that was, $200. One of those nice leather Picard style jackets. The big raffle top prize. Yes. I was co-hosting that. It was really Amy's thing, but I was co-hosting it. So I'll take a little bit of the credit for you winning. I don't know if anybody took pictures. I was just not taking tons of pictures this year. Let's see. Okay. Hey, Dave, you go right ahead and lurk. Keep lurking. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna just let this whole German musical subgroup thread just keep playing out. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Dave, though, right? Those lines, I never knew which way they were facing. Sometimes they were like be looking at me, and I'm like, "Are you all going this way? Are you all going? Are you for Sonequa? Or are you for pick one for Gates?" Yes, Rose. Oh, that's what it is. Yes, now it does. Yes, absolutely. Wow, we have spam, not porn spam, but just business spam. So boom. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Lots of people getting to meet each other ongoing. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, how are we doing? How are we doing here? Yeah, that the Portal live dive this year at Vegas was kind of wild and crazy and big. Yes. Did I do that? I guess it was. Hey, I asked. I asked. I didn't want to mortify you at your first convention, the first night of your first convention. I knew you loved it. That was great. Might as well, by the time if you can get yourself there and what everybody had survived for 2 or 3 years since then. Uh, yep, 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 yep. Yes, Liz is a hoot. Anybody whose last name is Kozlowski and doesn't really worry about it. Uh, the boldly knows and the ones with the wines. Yeah, I've seen these phrases take over. Like that's supposed to be clever. Oh, yep, yep, yep. Oh, that's totally fine. Okay. Long time listener, first time caller, huh? Okay, just Rosie. That's awesome. Glad you're here all the time and glad you popped up. Once you jump in, you never go back or something. Mm-mm-mm. Lower Decks was an instant. Absolutely, Maria. I think it was, especially within a week or two. But I'm talking about beforehand. People were so worried about it, so prepared not to jump in. Mm-hmm. Interesting looping you made there, Christoph. But yes, absolutely. Hello, Troy. Troy, I think you've been with us on Tuesday, but if not, welcome, welcome, welcome. There are lower decks haters too. I know. How does this happen, Christoph? I don't understand. Maybe the crossover 207 should have been a lower decks episode, not a Strange New World. No, you want the bigger there are more viewers of Strange than there are lower decks. Strange helped out lower decks. It wouldn't have been the same thing the other way around. There wouldn't have been a Let's see. Hey, Michael. Hey. Is this your first Tuesdays live with us, or or to speak up? Either way, it's all cool. It's all great. What am I looking for here? Did I? Uh, oh, okay. I just wanted to check something. Sorry for that. Very nice. How did you find your way here, Michael? I'm thinking it's your first time, maybe, but anyway, welcome. Um, all righty. All righty. And tour, yes. Okay. Like I said, the big tour is a big thing, but the day tours aren't so much. Yeah. What are you saying here? Mainly the vendor's room and fellow Chat Pack family. There you go. Like is reminding us to hit the like button. Thank you, Melanie. Thanks, everybody. Please do like, yes. Okay. Yep, I'm a little slow here on YouTube culture. When somebody else says it, I'm used to me saying it or trying to remember to say it. Yeah, Discord started as a video game. Yeah, I remember that. And now they've adapted it in birds. It still feels weird. I know you can be snarky and dark and, the other side in gaming, but anyway. Awesome, Wanda. Wanda, I know you've been with us here on Tuesday before. But when people do get there, I hope everybody comes by and says hi and make sure to, especially if you're there con Eve and make it for the landing party. Yes, Christoph. I'm just gonna consider this a commercial for the tours that I do. Discord was a character in My Little Pony. Isn't that Delancey's character? Is that what that is? Oh, here you go, Dave. Well, this is a cute story. You were on your ride out to the Bay Area last night, Monday night, and saw 3 women who were at STLV, and they still had their wristbands on. And it was their first time. See what I mean? I think there was a huge. I'm going to ask the guys. For one thing, I didn't say hi to them over the weekend. I was mouthing this. You had 5 people, though, didn't you? Yeah. I thought you had 5 names. Anyway, that's them. Everyone on the Facebook side. Oh, Chris Marshall, I'm sorry you have a difficult neighbor situation. Oh, well. Hey, Stephen, your co-host Rachel. We talking about STLV on the Text Trek channel in about an hour and a half. They must come up. See, just keep piggybacking. Just keep piggybacking. If I may have to go get some groceries for dinner, but I'd love to listen to a bit of it anyway. Yeah. Fathery was one of the last people I saw packing up to leave. Looked still a little dazed, man. Yeah. I actually had an early night Sunday night. Now what? Your friend Joel took the free 2 months. I told him he will enjoy it. Is that Joel? That's not Doc Ray, is it? The only person from a trivia team that contacted me was a Doc Ray. Is that his last name? Anyway, I haven't heard from him. Tell him to get a hold of me if he wants in on it. It's a $66 value. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. You forgot Beltran was even there. So, Chris, if you weren't in the panels, and again, that was the thing, where did most of your time go? Just curious. Or did it go in any way, in the dealer's room, fan meetups? I'm curious. Or were you in some of the smaller rooms? I don't know. Here you go, Stephen. There is no perfect fandom, but Trekkies are the best. The Who people would be steep competition, though. Yes, if Who was as big as Trek. Well, they're both gentle souls, and I didn't realize it at first, but yes, I think Who is the fandom that's the closest in tone and vibe to Trek, and Who has built-in generational change, so you avoid all the canon stuff. It's all concept and not visual, and 80% homages are totally welcome because we're not treating it as history because it's timey-wimey. Not to speak of the Prodigy season clip. Yes, sir. Oh, kept forgetting. Well, it wasn't the best communicated schedule this year. That was I would have got to more panels too if I had panel things in my. The correction pages every year they had in the dealer's room were more informative than the original. That had all 4 panel lines in a row where you could see against each other. The main, the secondary, the Roddenberry, yeah, and the leading other. Oh, this is funny, Dave. I heard someone say something about Eugene Cordero being there. And then I was like, I didn't, this all makes sense now. See, I didn't have the bandwidth to jump on this. I would have loved to. It would have been awesome. It would have been awesome. You almost missed what on Sunday? What led you to have that talk with the dude and be able to successfully pitch your idea? Not naming names for reason, but you know who, Dave Gregory. Okay, we're all intrigued. We are all intrigued. Oh, Scott, you and Fathery didn't get to meet up. Okay. This is what I mean. It's a high-end jacket, May. Good on you. That was awesome. Yes. Congratulations. Did anyone take a picture? You should take a picture. If no one did, take a picture, send it to me, and I will do it as a wrap up to the Steam meeting. We did sell about $1,000 of raffle tickets at $1 a piece, which is kind of shocking. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Hey, Don made it. Yay. Okay. Day 8 of Power Rangers month. Oh, I did not know that. Okay. Sorry for the delay. You were busy with AMT Snap It streaming. Okay. We'll have to take your note from your model. Maria, it's fine. It's fine. You will like the Rio compared to Bally's. I think anyone in the chat, 99% of the people are going to say they like the Rio, even with some of its kerfluffles, over Bally's. Bally's is now Horseshoe. It was about to be rebranded last year. But come on, and they're remodeling. They will have done at least the remodeling is supposed to start in December, starting with the Ipanema Tower. Okay. Woo! Look, I'm a My Little Pony. No, I know that Delancey is the My Little Pony's horse voice Discord. I know this from going to Gallifrey, which is a Doctor Who con. Go figure. Yes, I heartily endorse this. Yeah, On the way out the door, kind of, but there you go. Let's see. Let's see. Ooh, Chris. I hope everything came out okay. I hope you recovered everything. I hate it when that happens. Things in an Uber drive off. But at least you have the record of who it was, so it should be easy to track it, you would think. So the Delta Flyers are going to watch DS9. That will be interesting. Garrett and Robbie watching DS9. Mm-mm-mm. I could never get into the creation app, Scott. I actually tried once, and I couldn't get the password, double verification, blah, 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 to work. It looked very clunky, though. Wow. Wow, Dave, you've had a double whammy. If you were at the GalaxyCon Raleigh, bang, bang, back to back. Thank you, Christoph. I can see you're trying to find the end of the chat here. Like, subscribe, spread the word, do all the things. Yes, indeed. And seriously, everybody, think about the Trekland Treks, or someone you know that might appreciate that too. Oh, Chris, this is what you're being coy about. I don't blame you. So good luck. Good luck. We can never. There are so many needs in this world. We can never not have enough projects like this, sadly. But if it's going to be done, Star Trek people have the best platform and the best hearts. Most 99% of the time, I'll say. Very good. Very good. Oh, was that going on when we were finally doing that? Okay. There we go. And our sojourn. Wait, we could just do it in the, yeah. Well, this was the intention, Maria, but the new corporate, the Rio was sold. They changed their mind on what the timing was going to be, and people in Vegas were waiting to see whether the new stadium was going to be built next to the Rio or over it, or where it wound up going. So once that decision was made, they've proceeded now. Plus, they had corporate turnover and they wanted to double check some things. But they have said they're going to start the work in December this year and be open while they do the work. And your Uber driver was Kenny from Storage Wars. Welcome to Vegas. Small town. Scott, you know how things were flying by this weekend. Yeah, it was kind of, it was insane, as I said. Okay. I think we are at the end of the chat, gang. How did that happen? It happens every week. Most every week, I'll say. Oh, listen, I'm recovering voice. I'm going to see the Portales tomorrow night. But for right now, I'm going to thank our Patreoners. If you're not a Patreon, please join them. If consider doing it. We've got several ways you can help out here at Grow the Base. One of course, is just helpful if you just like and subscribe what you're watching right now, especially if it's YouTube, and share that. If you want to help out on Patreon, and I'm mixing my methods here, $5-10 a month, patreon.com/TreklandLive. It's simple. I keep it simple. I need to get the access to the interviews out again. That's going on. The new Trek Files is up, of course, this week with Darren Doctorman again. Some funny, cute stuff from 1967. The fight over the paper clips. You don't want to miss this with Leonard Nimoy and the head of business operations at Desilu. That was a lot of fun to do. And have Darren as a guest. Any time of year, but especially the summer, It's a great time to have a Treklands trek. Come in and we'll pick out the 4 places you want to do. I'll help you tailor it. I will not lead you astray. We'll get around that day when you're in town, pick you up at your hotel, bring you back. Handle all the traffic headaches and all the stuff wrangling that you want for your photos, for your experience. So it'll be one you remember. It'll be once in a lifetime. Or twice. You could do 2 days in a row. There's nothing against that. Now, everybody, yeah, like and subscribe us on Twitter. I'm never going to stop saying Twitter. And YouTube is Larry Nemechek, sure. Facebook, Instagram, it's Larry Nemechek's Trekland. Portal47.net if you want to have the mini con all year long. Why put up with post-con blues when you could have the Portal 47 backstagers and our wonderful Portales community with you too? Woof, we survived another one, kids. I think I talked to some people who would make great guests for Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to being able to get back into that. Pretty soon we're going to be announcing the open house guest for the Portal 47 annual open house. Got to get on that. So things are happening in Trekland. Maybe we'll have even more happening here. But for now, thanks everybody for being with us on this Tuesday. Thanks for shouting out in the chat. All you new folks who are here, whether we met at Vegas or not, you just found your way here. That's awesome. What can I say? If you where I saw the other cool thing was I saw more and more people with TeePublic Trekland stuff. Our Portal 47ers, yes. But the Cadet Alice I mentioned was great. People have the hashtag stack. Is the hashtag oh my gosh, the computer's still in it. People have the hashtag stack out. A lot of people were asking me what that meant when I had it on my shirt. And they're like, oh, okay. I said, this is how I trademark my sayings before they just kind of get out into the ether and people assume they've always been there, like Viacom divorce. But that was cool. It was cool to see so many people with They have sales at TeePublic twice a month. So be watching for that too. We'll try to let you know when it's happening. Good to see everybody again. It's been 2 weeks. We'll be back next Tuesday. Who knows what'll be happening by then? I know I'll be over my summer hump of travels. And looking forward to being with you. Looking forward to seeing the finale of Strange New this week. There will be a second opinion up here momentarily, hopefully within the next 12 hours. And then back at it for one more Strange New Worlds for this huge finale episode. Then 2 weeks off, and then we hit the lower deckers. Well, not physically. We hit watching Lower Decks once a season, once a week for 10 weeks. Starting off with a double screening of Lower Decks to start off the run. Lots going on. And then we're hitting convention season. We're hitting Christmas season, what I'm trying to say. More merch would be nice, but, I got Etsy'd a little bit in Vegas, too. People showering their goodies with me. Shout out to the fan sets. Shout out to Lou and John and everybody at Fansets for another great convention for them. So many of the dealers and licensees I didn't get back around that I wanted to see, some of the first timers. But their annual Friday night bash with Trek Geeks Bill and Dan was an even bigger hit. Very crowded in that Millennial Fandom bar, but all good things to support. And of course, all our friends at Roddenberry and Mission Log and Star Trek Wines and yada yada yada. Hollywood Factory. Yeah, Entertainment Factory. Yes, Jordan and Barry there giving Dave and Liz a place to sit and sign. Yes, Todd too when they wanted to sit down. It was so cool to see 20, 30, 40 people in line. We had that at Comic-Con, but it was for like a half hour. And they had nothing really to sign. Here they were loaded to the gills with photos and some goofy, funny stuff, memorable things. And yeah, it's the strike times, and anybody connected with the industry is hurting right now. So a lot of good people. Vegas was a healthy thing for a lot of folks in a lot of ways. And I think that's all I'm going to say. Except to say, everybody, of course, stay healthy, okay? Do all the things to do that. Stay woke, check your sources. And what we mean truck well, everybody.